Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Twin Peaks Season 1, Episode 7. It's called Realization. Full spoilers for the episode. I think the first thing I'd probably say about this episode is that it is the second last one of Season 1, and it did feel like the first half of a two-part finale.
Yeah, I get that.
Everything kind of ended on a cliffhanger, you know. Oh, Cooper's met Jacques. Oh, Bobby's planted something on James's bike. Someone's watching Laura's cousin. I forgot her name. What's Laura's cousin?
Maddie.
Maddie. There you go. So all these like cliffhangers at the end. I'm like, oh, this feels like the first half of a finale.
Yeah, you got the stuff going on with Jacoby.
Yeah. So we've been starting with food the last couple of times. So let's start with food. I want to point out two key food related things in this episode.
One of them pained me to my very core.
Well, we'll see which one it is. First one, the lighter one. Ben and Jerry were sharing ice cream.
I know, it cracked me up.
it was just... At first I was like, oh, Ben's eating ice cream. That's fine, right? He's eating... It's weird to be carrying around a tub of ice cream when there's like company, but sure, he's eating ice cream. And then Jerry comes over and starts like sharing it with him, and I'm like... And then they even comment on the quality. He's like, oh, this needs more... As if they're good with recipes for ice cream. The whole thing cracked me up.
Yeah.
The other one... Now, at first it was like, oh, we just cut to a shot of the donut table. And I'm like, God damn it, you couldn't go one episode Twin Peaks.
Like, oh, that is a gorgeous plate of donuts.
It is. It was those ones that were completely covered in chocolate all the way around. They looked kind of like soft and it just looked lovely. I know, I'm obsessing.
I know.
Right? Not only did we get a donut scene this episode, the donut scene this episode was a dramatic death scene.
Yeah.
The blood spattered on the donuts.
And like I say, and an entire plate of some of the best donuts I've seen on screen were utterly compromised, and what a waste.
Is it bad that I was thinking in my head though, like, right, that...
I could eat around those.
Yeah, that area is bad, but those ones around that edge are completely still fine.
Yeah, I know.
I could eat those. Oh, poor Waldo. Waldo the bird.
Aye.
Luckily, he was useful before his death. Leo didn't quite get to him in time. Let's start there. Leo spying on Shelley, knows about Bobby. In fact, he's got his gun out, he's ready to go. But he's got a police scanner, and he hears Lucy over the radio talking about the bird.
Aye.
So he goes to the police station and he assassinates the bird.
Because that's not sketchy.
Well, they don't seem, to be fair. Unfortunately for him, Cooper had the voice initiated, voice activated tape recorder geared up, ready to go, and we heard a variety of phrases. One was just the name Laura, one was the name Leo, and also the phrase "stop it" was repeated.
Yeah.
So lot of key things in there to point a lot of blame at one Mr. Leo Johnson.
Is bird admissible evidence in a court of law?
I don't know.
Just those worth questioning.
Hey, it's more reliable than a human witness, it can't lie.
But it could have just be saying anything.
It could be, but I mean, sure, you have to interpret it a little bit more, but the bird cannot be intentionally being dishonest, and that makes
no, but you could train it to say anything. Like, you could make it repeat anything, and just because it's repeating that doesn't mean it's what you think it is.
If it was immediately assassinated for what it was saying, I think
that doesn't help.
That lends some credence to what the bird was saying.
that may lend some credence. I just mean in general, as a a more general point.
There was a hit job in this episode on a bird, which resulted in the ruining of a fantastic table of donuts.
I'm more upset about the donuts than the bird, I'm not going to lie.
Twin Peaks in a nutshell. But they made you care about it, though, because they had the whole scene earlier on where they're feeding the fruit and stuff. But we should mention, actually, that is the one scene in this episode that had Donna's dad, the town doctor. The actor who played him passed away this week. We should mention that.
Yeah.
Which is a shame to hear. But, yeah, so I wanted to mention it. So we had that stuff with Leo. That was pretty much it for Leo. All of it intriguing. Like, he was only in like 2 scenes, but both of them, like, oh, he's got a police scanner.
Scenes, yeah.
Like, very, very interesting stuff. Not that there was anything in this episode that wasn't, to be honest. Every plot line in this was firing. I think it's the benefit of okay, we've had like 6 episodes already. Everything's been building up. Everything's starting to really pay off in all the key plot lines.
It's the crux of serialized storytelling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It always pays off at the end.
Yeah, well, because you have the issues. You have something like episode 4, which we felt like this was a very like obviously everything was important in setting up the information, but it felt like a very uneventful episode on its own.
Yeah.
Whereas you get this other side of it where you get these climaxes where everything finally comes to a head and it starts to unravel and whatever. So, where we'll jump to next? We'll jump to we'll call them the teenage detectives. We have Donna with James and Maddie, and they had the tape from the last episode, and it turns out to be one of the tapes that Laura was recording for Jacoby. So they find out about Jacoby. They're like, maybe he killed her, maybe not. But they concoct this plan because there's a tape missing. The one that's dated for the day she died is missing.
Yeah.
So they concoct this plan that they're going to lure Jacoby out. And at first I was thinking like, oh, they're just going to play the tape.
Oh no, you're so naive.
Well, no, no, this is the thing, right? I first thought that. I didn't think that at first. At first I thought, oh, they're going to have her pretend to be Laura. And then he reached down and pressed the tape, and I'm like, oh, they're just going to play the tape over the phone. Like, it bluffed me out of it. It bluffed me out of it. But then, of course, later on, she shows up and she's got a blonde wig on, and I'm like, all right, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, back to what we expect.
And she did the impression over the phone, and they lured him out, and they even shot a little tape holding the newspaper to prove it's just not some figment of his imagination or some good impression.
Had to be done.
Which it is, and of course she does a good impression because it's the actress who played Laura. So
it's convenient, that isn't it?
It works out. But so that's going on, and they lure him out of the office, and they sneak in at the end of the episode. That's kind of the last we see of them. But meanwhile, we see that Bobby's spying on them.
Mm.
Well, what I think was interesting though is he didn't get a clear look at her, to be fair. But I almost wanted like a weird, oh shit, that looks like Laura moment from Bobby.
Yeah. There was always that moment of like, is it?
Yeah.
But you don't get, oh damn moment.
Yeah, but they stick in, and when they go inside Jacoby's office, that's when Bobby sneaks up and plants some cocaine in the gas tank on the bike for James's bike, trying to set him up. So that's that plot. This was a fun plot. Like as soon as they reached down and pressed the tape recorder, even if it was going to be her dressing up or not, I was alright. I'm into this. This is fun. This is them properly being proactive and doing something, which also mirrors.
I was going to say, the fact that it happens to be them dressing up and being ridiculous is way more fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it kind of mirrors the fact that Audrey's plans also get into sort of full effect. We start the episode with her. Of course, the last one ended with her in Cooper's bed.
Pretty much exactly how we called it was going to start.
Yeah, he was the bigger person, and if anything, I'd argue that he almost went a little bit closer to the line than I thought. Don't get me wrong, he completely says no, this is not happening. But the fact that he says, I mean, obviously I want to, but
yeah, I wasn't expecting that either.
I mean, obviously, rules thrown out the window. I'd plough you right here in the bed right now, but I took an oath.
Yeah.
So let's go have breakfast or a late night snack or whatever time it is.
Aye. And then it cuts away.
Yeah, it cuts away. Also, Cooper just go to the diner. It's basically a nothing scene for them, other than the fact that Cooper's like, no.
Coffee.
You can have coffee. Listen to me, Sheriff. Once a day, give yourself a present.
I mean, I love that scene in general, but like they're literally just there for the coffee. There is no other point of them being in the scene.
Oh yeah, I mean the scene itself had purpose because before that we had stuff with Hank and that, but yeah, they're part of the scene. It almost had little purpose. But I would never remove it for the world because it's just Cooper being kooky.
Exactly.
It's great. I'm all for it. But back to Audrey. So Audrey's got the job at the perfume counter. She's spying.
Rather shy at it.
Yeah, because...
As expected, really.
Well, you say shite. I don't know if I'd call it shite when she seems to intentionally being bad at it.
I think it's just that she doesn't care.
Well, yeah, but like I feel like that's different from her actually trying and being...
Well, yeah, where I say shite is she's exactly what everyone expected she'd be in the role, where she does not want to put any effort into it to be anything else except exactly what she is.
But of course, both Laura and It's not Polanski, but it's like Polanski, the other girl who was found. That was
I'm
taken
not
in
going
the
to
same
remember
night.
it, I'm not going to lie.
It was Pulaski, I think. But so we're thinking there's a connection here. There's some sort of connection to this job to working at One Eye Jack's.
Yeah.
And being a prostitute. So Audrey concocts this weird scenario where she tells the guy, like, there's a random stock boy just in the back, and she's like, oh, I think there was an accident outside a bus. Like, what's the stock boy going to do?
Yeah. This is after the boss has said to the other girl he wants to see her in the office in 5 minutes.
Yes. And she hides in the closet and spies and
As a smoke.
And the boss is like really sleazy, and he's like, oh, job well done, here's a unicorn.
I thought it was really creepy how he points out that unicorns are a symbol of purity and youth. Because only the young can tame them. It's like, this is weird given the context.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, you were a hit at One Eye Jack's, they want you back. You could do this job, you could do that. And then he's like, oh, you could be, what was the word he used?
Hospitality.
Hospitality, yes. And she's like, what's that? And like, I almost thought he might try and trick her by not saying, but he implied very heavily what it was going to involve. Like, obviously you had to read between the lines, but it was very clear. I don't think anyone would mistake.
She knew that. She's like, well, as long as they're rich.
Yeah, that was her attitude.
She knew what it was.
And Audrey uses all this information so that she talks to the other girl, and she's like, oh, but I lost the number that you gave me. Can you give me it? And she takes the number, and she goes on a little sting, as it were, to Blackie's the name of the madame who works at the One Eye Jack's.
She tries to contact Cooper multiple times.
She does try to contact Cooper to tell him where she's going. As fate would have it, Cooper's also on his way there.
But she did slip him a note so that she wasn't like, I'm going to go and tell no one. She wasn't completely stupid. Which
might become important next episode, because he may not even see her there, and he may come back and realise, oh crap, Audrey was there, we need to rush back or something like that. I don't know. But that's, I think, clearly an important plot point. And Blackie catches her out on the lie. Like, she catches her, like, she's lying about where she's been from, why shouldn't I throw you out? And she convinces her to give her a job there because she can tie a cherry stem with her tongue.
Don't disturb me more about that. So she eats the cherry first, but cherries have a stone in the middle.
Audrey swallows.
Yeah, but that's just...
That.
It's a stone. Like, take it out.
I get it, but... I don't know. I was more distraught about the donuts. I'm not.
I mean, I was still upset from that as well.
I'm not upset about a cherry.
It bothered me. I was like, this is weird.
Honestly, it was probably just a pacing issue. They didn't want to have it just, clunky to have her then take it out, and it just ruins the sequence. I think that's all it is. I don't think it's anything more than that. But she gives her a job, and that's how we end that plotline.
Aye.
There's a lot. I'm trying to sort of work my way through it before I start.
I'm just going over it in my head, just checking there was no steps that we missed.
That was,
I think that's all that.
That was the gist of it. Back over to Cooper and the sheriff. So they decide they're going to go to One Eye Jack's finally. Although, admittedly, they did have a line of dialogue that kind of explained why they didn't just rush there in the first place. Which I never considered, so fair play to the writers, they had thought this through. They had mentioned that One Eye Jack's was across the border in Canada, it's out of their jurisdiction, so it becomes a Bookhouse Boys thing, and off the books, let's go and investigate. So it ends up being Cooper and Big Ed. And
in disguise.
Big Ed puts on a mustache and curly hair. And Cooper wears a tux and a pair of glasses.
And they just have new backstories and names, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, because Big Ed almost completely messes up and admits that he owns a gas station, but then he immediately charms his way out of it by flirting with Blackie, and I'm like, alright, okay, Big Ed's got game. So that's fine.
Makes sense.
Although Big Ed's excitement when Cooper's like, right, I've got several grand here of the Bureau's money.
It was like 10 grand, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to hand you some, Big Ed. We'll try and return some of it.
Yeah, he's like, whenever I borrow the Bureau's money, I like to return them with like a 20 or 30% increase on what I took out. And it's like, so how much would you like to start?
Surely any even law-abiding person, right, if they come back with more than they started, they would just they'd give back what they took. But surely if you won an extra,
You'd think.
you would just take it. You wouldn't feel bad about it because it was just one. They're getting their money back. Is that really a moral ambiguous thing?
I could see for Cooper, sure, because that's kind of his whole shtick.
But it'll be the same situation as Audrey, where he's like, you know what, I really want to.
Yeah, but
I took an oath.
Well, I have to.
I took an oath.
But it'll be like, hey, Big Ed, you can keep yours.
Speaking of Big Ed, there was a scene in the middle of this where he goes back home, and Edna's watching Invitation to Love, the reoccurring soap that everyone in this show keeps watching. Jacoby was watching it later on as well. And he comes in and she's upset. She's eating bonbons. She's deeply upset about something. Someone's rejected something. She had all these plans for a new TV and a boat and something else. And she starts crying. And I was like, what is all this about? I don't know where this is going. And then it turns out the entire time that she's talking about her goddamn drapes.
Because of course she bloody is.
She was going to sell the silent drapes. She was going to patent it and sell it off and make a fortune.
And a patent got rejected.
Of course it did. One-eyed Jackie.
Not sure that really worked.
Nah, I was going for a one-eyed pun because we have one-eyed Jacks and she's got an eye patch. I was going for a thing.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Should we talk about the soap?
It didn't land.
Obviously, there wasn't much, but there was a shooting.
There was a shooting. Yes, talk about the shooting. What happened in the soap, Connor?
So were they friends? Like, 'cause obviously, we only get glimpses of these soaps, so I'm not entirely sure of.
Oh, it's hard to say.
Who everyone is. You get the impression that they're friends or something. They know each other. And he shoots him in the back.
Yes.
And that feels very symbolic of maybe something about to happen in the next episode.
I would
if
argue,
not literally, at least thematically.
Yeah, possibly even what we've already kind of seen with Catherine in this episode.
It could be that.
Yeah, because that's definitely a backstabbing of sorts. There's elements of that in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Cooper Big Ed sting operation. Obviously, Hawk's out in the van. He's got the gear on. He's listening in. They're all wired, as you do, in sting operations. And Big Ed sort of turns away awkwardly at one point because Jacques Renault, who we've been hearing about, shows up. He's the new dealer on the craps table, and Big Ed sort of like quietly just slinks away. And I'm like, oh, someone knows him, right? And so that's kind of how it ends. It's like, Cooper, oh, you must be Jacques, and he's like, indeed, and that's where we end at.
And Cooper's doing rather well at blackjack.
He's
like,
really
21
well.
Again.
Wait a minute, that confused me because he said he was going to the craps, and then Big Ed was meant to go to blackjack, and now
I
he's
just
a
assumed
blackjack.
some time had passed.
Probably.
Oh no, because Big Ed didn't like blackjack, did he? He was like, blackjack's not my game.
Yeah, but it kind of sounded like he came back from playing blackjack and was like, yeah, I lost it all. Because he even said something about losing the money, and Cooper says, I'll cover it with my winnings.
It could be. But Cooper was definitely playing blackjack.
Oh, he was, yeah. You're right. I said craps table because that's what you said, but you're right. He was playing blackjack. Yeah, because they mentioned 21 again. You're right.
Yeah. He must have been doing rather well if it was it again.
Oh, aye. He's doing okay. So will Cooper run into Audrey at One Eye Jack's while that happened? We know Jerry's on the way because that Ben and Jerry scene ended with him taking all the Icelandicers. Is it still Iceland? Is it Sweden now? I can't remember. There was a different nationality. Sorry?
I don't. Icelanders, not Icelandicers.
Is that what I said? Sorry.
Yeah.
But because there was a different nationality. I think it was Swedish people in the pilot.
Yeah, but then the new ones that came were Iceland.
I know, but I couldn't remember which way around it was.
Yeah,
like if we started
it's definitely
with
that way.
Iceland and went to Sweden or...
No.
But he's on the way there because they wanted to go to One Eye Jack's. Which Ben wasn't happy about them knowing about One Eye Jack's because Jerry's just like, I take full responsibility, and he's sly little, smirking way.
It's like, I just want to go for a night out at the casino. What can I say? I need another whore.
I mean, basically, this was just a really exciting episode. I felt like every plot line was just firing on and really interesting. I mean, obviously, the Ben and Jerry stuff is probably one of the least interesting things in the show. I mean, it's not bad. It's just it's there for its plot.
But you
reasons.
feel like it's going to pay off at some point.
Oh, probably. Maybe the entire, Icelandic boardroom members all meet a horrific fate or something. I don't know.
Maybe they just all order donuts.
Maybe they just all know it. We mentioned Catherine earlier. Let's talk about Catherine because... So, last episode, Jocelyn and Ben met up and we weren't sure the nature of this relationship. And it came after the previous episode where there was a connection to Hank.
Yeah.
which was, again, weird. We didn't know quite what it meant. Were they in cahoots? Was it like was she under duress? Like, did she, like, was this like a dark thing from her past she didn't want around anymore? That kind of felt like it was there. It still kind of did in this episode, because when we see Hank at her place, no dialogue, but he takes off the coat and he looks happy and she still looks worried. She still looks kind of
uneasy.
Uneasy, yeah. Maybe not she's been forced, but forced in a kind of...
she's just unsure of what will happen if she doesn't do this.
Yeah, that kind of thing, where he's not actually forcing her, but it's kind of like... To quote It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
The implication.
The implication is there.
I knew exactly where you were going with that.
The implication is there.
Yeah.
But yeah, but she also, like, confesses at least partly to the sheriff about spying on Ben and Catherine, and she brings it up. But she only brings it up because he brings it up, because he knows about it, because Hawk spotted her.
Yeah, it's like, well, you've been seen there, so come on, might as well tell me.
And she gives him this sob story, and then he, like, reiterates this to Cooper. So, like, she's in trouble, we need to do something, and Cooper quite rightly says, well, how much do you know about her? Like, you know, she's relatively new to the town, and that she's only been here a couple of years, and she's taken over the mill. She was the wife that came in of the previous owner and all that. And he's like, I don't know, but I love her, and that's enough for me. And then Cooper's like, well, that's enough for me, let's look into it. And I feel like that's going to come back and bite them.
Cooper's such a hopeless romantic, isn't he?
He so is. He's got a heart of gold. He's such a... It's really funny, actually. You could write Cooper just slightly different, and he'd feel so two-dimensional and cheesy.
Yeah.
Because he's always doing the right thing, and he's so good at everything. But it's got this
It's just got that quirky offbeatness that sells it.
It's offbeat, yeah. It's got this weird twist to it that makes it feel different. It makes it feel fresh, and McLachlan owns the role as well. Like, he's he's doing great. I mean, most of the cast are actually really good. You get the odd like side character.
I think I know, not to bring it up again, but I think it really helps that he's passionate for these, like, little food and coffee things. Like, that sells him as a character, as a real person, and it contrasts with all these just, let's do everything by the books, and
it also makes him extremely relatable.
It does,
because I love donuts. I don't love coffee, admittedly, but I can appreciate the love for a good drink.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's cool. But yeah, so Catherine kind of realises there's a plot against her because an insurance guy shows up at her house.
Hi, the middle of the night.
Middle of the night, because the policy is going to come into effect in the morning, or at midnight specifically, I think he even says. Yeah. And at first he says he forgot to get one page of this signed, but he actually reveals that, and I actually think this is quite smart. This is a smart insurance man. It's a life insurance policy, which means Jocelyn's going to get paid a lot of money on her death. And he thought it was suspicious that she was too busy and that Ben was going to get everyone to get the signatures with him not there. He thought that was a little bit fishy. No pun intended, because Pete caught a nice fish and had a trophy earlier on. But he...
Not sure that was enough to make it a pun.
No, but it's not so much it was a pun, it was just that as I said it, I thought of the trophy and the fish. And Pete cracked me up with the complaint it was too big. Like, it was smaller, but the stuffed it too big.
Yeah. And
he says, size isn't everything. I thought it felt like a weird size, penis joke, but in the opposite way, because he was upset that it was too big. But so he's like, no, so I left this last page unsigned intentionally, so it had to be done, and I had to come and see you. So Catherine now knows about it, and we see the name. It's the money all goes to Jocelyn if something bad happens to her, and we kind of get a sense as well from Ben earlier on when he phones Jocelyn before we see her with Hank. It's that same scene where he says she needs to be there tonight because presumably Leo's going to burn the place down and kill her as part of the cover up of it.
That's the assumption, and the idea has been planted about the fire in other people's heads.
Yeah, that's right. Jocelyn mentions that someone wants to start a fire.
So they'll shift the blame nicely.
It will shift the blame. And I feel like she is playing everyone, actually, because her saying that she's heard them mention a fire puts a blame in Ben as well. So if this all works out for her, both, like, Catherine will be dead and Ben will be the blame for it.
And she'll get all the money because she won't have to split it with Ben.
But it seems like Hank's at pulling the strings of all this, though. It feels like Hank's the one who actually wants this to all happen, which means, like, I don't necessarily think she's the one who's going to benefit directly.
No.
On paper, sure, but it'll be Hank that's actually...
It's never that simple in this show, is it?
Of course it's not. So that's that was that plot. Oh boy. Obviously, one small thing about Hank, he was actually grilling Shelley, in a polite way, but he was interrogating her to find out about Big Ed. It was like, oh yeah, she mentioned someone was helping her. Was it Pete? Maybe? And she's like, oh, you mean Big Ed? He's like, oh, Big Ed. And she's like, oh, the evil look.
It says he goes, oh yeah, that was it, Big Ed. And then she just walks away and carries on with the job, and it focuses in on him then, and then the music comes in, and he goes, oh, Big Ed, eh?
And then he steals a lighter just to prove that he's still bad.
Yeah.
I feel like we got that from everything else. The look would have done it, but
like the look alone would have been enough. I mean, honestly, anything, just him saying about Big Ed to her was okay. We get what this is.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
And then it gives you the close up on his face. Then it gives you the evil music. Then it gives you him saying the line, and then he steals the lighter. It's like overkill.
What gets me about that last part though is that I feel like he's meant to be this like head honcho who Leo's scared of. He's this big badass, this big bad crime guy, and he's like still tempted for these little petty thievery moments.
Just because he can.
I guess so. Just because he can.
Yeah. I think it's there. I want it.
Right, I'm just looking down the characters, making sure I've not missed.
Have we missed anything?
Making sure I've not missed any key plot points. I don't think I have. I guess we never talked about Shelley's scene with Bobby quite as much, because we find out obviously one of the big things from last episode is that she fired the gun at the end, and we see that he gets shot in the arm.
Yes.
From what it appears. We never actually mentioned that. We talked about Leo, but Bobby's like, oh, I'll take care of everything. I'm going to take care of James. I'm going to take care of Leo, and that's pretty much it. Not too much of them in this episode. But they got a lot of screen time last week, so that kind of
it's more plays into the drugs being planted later.
Yeah. So there you go. That's this week. Oh, one key point: Leland Palmer, Mr. Palmer, Laura's dad, did catch Maddie sneaking out to play Operation Jacoby.
Yeah.
Sitting in the dark like a right depressed weirdo, just sitting there doing nothing.
Pretty much.
So
it's very strange.
That should be interesting. If that comes into play at all, I imagine it would do. They wouldn't make a point of showing us that.
Because it might have been the only scene he was in the episode.
I think it was, yeah.
And there'd be no point in having it there other than to show us. And if it's not going to come into play, what's the point?
Yeah. So good episode. I don't feel like obviously it didn't give us the wild theorizing stuff that we sometimes get in some of these episodes, but they'll give us like a hint of the dreams or the otherworldly stuff, and we go nuts with the speculation. I'm still convinced that Leo's not directly responsible for killing Laura. Obviously, he was there that night. Obviously, stuff went on. He was involved with her in some way. But all of it's too obvious for it just to be him that's the killer.
And whatever it is incriminating enough that he wants to cover it up.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's still done something wrong, no question. But
yeah.
I don't think it's directly.
It's still too obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. As for that, not a whole lot of theorizing, but it was just a really solid episode in terms of like all the plots. They're all giving good suspense. There was good, quirky, humorous moments as Twin Peaks often does, but all of them were really hitting these moments where Audrey's undercover. They're tricking Jacoby with fake Laura. They're the Cooper and that have went to One-Eyed Jacks. Everything's like moving to big places.
We're all in the thick of it right now.
Yeah, and Hank's up to something. I feel like Hank's going to be super important in season 2. Of course, I've said that. People who have watched it will be laughing because he like dies next week or something. I don't know. He might.
No, in our luck, probably.
But we've been talking about this mill getting burned down all season, so I feel like that's a season finale thing.
That does feel like a season finale thing, and obviously, like we said, we were expecting it to happen later that night.
Yes.
So I'm expecting that to kind of bleed into the start of the next episode.
Well, like I say, I feel like this was the first half of a finale because of all the way that the plot's like left dangling. So I think that most of the next episode might even be the same night. It might just be a continuation.
Oh, I think it will, yeah.
Halloween 2 style. If you're a fan of those movies, you'll get what I mean by that. But no, so that's Twin Peaks episode 7. We have one more left in season 1. Remember, once we hit season 2, we'll be going 2 per week, so that we're done for the new series starting in May. So thank you very much. Let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mild_fuzz if you want updates about the channel and stuff that's going up. Individual Twitters on the screen for our normal, regular, everyday ramblings. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.